Ladies and gentlemen, you play chess, right? Maybe you don't play chess. Maybe you just clicked on this video. The thumbnail was appealing. The title was appealing. Something about it was appealing. Well, have you ever watched chess content and went, hold on a second, why are those people higher rated than me? I'm only 500, but I play way better than that, and they're like 3 times my rating. Well, today's video is going to be you experiencing that emotion. 99% of you are going to be lower rated than the players on the screen. This game was sent to me by one of my viewers, subscribers. Thank you for being a good sport. The players in this video are rated over 2,000 and yet provided legitimately a completely horrible game of chess. I mean, it's just incredible. And if anything, this is just motivation that you should never, ever feel bad about your chess again, because it's never getting better. It's only ever getting worse. Now, our players are Drifty and Farron. Those are not their real names. They are just redacted so you don't harass anybody. They are given honorary Grandmaster titles. They're from the UK and Iran. And, oh, it's like a World Cup rematch. And I just don't want to say anything because this game is just, I mean, unbelievable. So white begins with e4. And we actually have the clocks there as well. Black plays knight f6. That's a bad move for most of you, but this is actually a real opening. This is the Alyoshin's defense. Black immediately attacks this pawn, volunteers to be booted into the center of the board, and this has all been played before. This is an opening. At this level, if you want to play Alyoshin's defense, you have my blessing, okay? I'm not mad about it, all right? Now, if they were like 600, I'd be yelling at them that you shouldn't put pieces in the center of the board when they can be attacked by pawns. White plays knight f3. So far, so good. All right, and you know, in this position, black can take. Black should be developing with g6 and bishop to g7. The bad moves begin very early. So pawn takes pawn, right? Knight takes pawn. And in this position, again, black should be trying to develop the bishop and castling, or at the very least, trying to trade off this knight. And then there's actually like a perpetual here. There's like a knight f7 sacrifice. Black plays the move bishop to e6, which legitimately makes 0 sense. Because if you're going to argue the bishop should be going anywhere, it's to f5, followed by pawn to e6, followed by developing this bishop, okay? You should not occupy the center with your pieces if your opponent can overrun your center with pawns. I will repeat, you should not occupy the center with your pieces if your opponent can overwhelm the center with their pawns, which is why in this position, white plays the move c4. Fantastic move. And now knight to b6, and now the move d5 comes in. This is spectacular stuff. I love this. Okay, now it's a little bit maybe overextending. You just got to be a bit careful you don't lose anything. But white is much better because what the heck is black doing with the bishop here? I mean, this is terrible. White just immediately plays the best moves, and now we're here. Okay. So far, so good. Now, you know, what should a normal person do here? Continue development. Now, this is where you're seeing the 2173 at play. 2170, it's a huge rating. This person is better than 99% of chess players. Knight c3 is a great move. And now, for some reason, black decides to play this g6 again. Like, I mean, you could have played it a long time ago. Now, white here goes completely nuts. The best move here for white is to play this move c5. And this is not an overextension because your center is very well defended. But I don't like this because at some point, you know, white is going to get themselves into trouble. Like, white is not going to defend everything, even though it's +4. You know, white's going to make some mistake and... But yes, that is the best thing to do. Now, white just goes a little bananas here, plays the move g4. But white is able to get away with this because right now what white has is a dominant central space advantage. And when you have so much more space and your opponent's pieces are just sort of standing out and about, like I've just said, you can't just have pieces occupying the center with no pawns because your opponent will overrun you with pawns. Pawns are worth less than pieces. So your opponent can use these pawns to just shove you backwards. Now, black refuses to back up here, and instead tries to do danger levels by playing the move bishop to g7. Now, in this position, white has what's called a desperado. The idea is that, well, I'm going to lose my knight anyway, so I might as well lose my knight, on my terms, right? So I'm going to play knight takes f7. I apologize, I clicked the forward button. Knight takes f7, here's the best move for white, because you're going to lose your knight anyway, so you hit the queen, and then, you know, you lose it on your own terms, and then queen to h5, and, you know, etc., etc. White instead plays bishop f4. Again, I don't hate it. White is doing a nice job, and now bishop back to c8. Now, again, white goes a little bit insane here. What I would do here with white is I would move my queen and I would castle queenside. White is a better chess player than me. White plays the move h4. Okay, all right, I get it. You know, h5 is on the way. Life is good. Black responds with the move h5. And here we just get absolute chaos. So rather than addressing this and pushing or taking or defending, white plays c5. Now we've been expecting this move. White is just completely overwhelming black. And yet c5 is a very bad move, which I have been saying, it's a very delicate position to handle with white because you don't know the difference between... How many of you, let me know in the comments, how many of you do not know the difference between taking space and overextending? Like, what? How much space is too much space? When do I weaken my position? It's hard. Chess is a hard game. And, you know, this is an example of kind of overextending because you don't have sufficient central support now, and if you trade too many pieces and allow your opponent to get back into the game, you're just not going to be able to hold your position together. And that's very hard to understand when you've made too much progress. Now, at this point, white just goes totally nuts. Sacrifices the knight on f7. This is not the same sacrifice that we just saw. A move ago, we were sacrificing the knight, immediately winning back the bishop. That's not happening right now. Knight takes f7 is just a full loss of a knight, and white just plays a very speculative follow-up, and now is completely lost. White's entire sacrificing idea here was predicated upon the fact of d6 check happening. The most incredible thing about d6 check, it's just a check. Black blocks, the attack is over. It's just over. I mean, you can play d takes c7, I will take your queen, and then I will take your bishop, and I will just move my knight, I don't know, I'll do something. Okay, so how does black play defense here, right? I mean, you should probably take the free pawn. Black plays the move knight f6, which is not a good move. And immediately white is better again because of the move g5. I mean, it's just a very easy move for white, getting the pawn out of danger, attacking the knight. White needs to attack as fast as possible here because white sacrificed material. When you're down material, the next thing is king safety, and in this position you can attack black very easily. I mean, black's king is like stuck in the center of the board. Another very nice move here is bishop takes c7, a beautiful little tactical trick. If queen takes, then d6 check carries a lot more force because you would win the queen. But knight f6, g5, and now knight to g4 and queen f3. White is doing everything right except sacrificing a knight for some reason. You say, Levy, you said there were no good moves. We're getting there, all right? And no good moves was an exaggeration. There was maybe 10 good moves and 30 mistakes. Black plays king e8, which is a very, very, very bad move. You should not be moving your king to the center. You should be evacuating your king over here, where the king would be kind of safe. Maybe would survive. But instead, black goes to the center, which is just not going to cut it. Now, what should white do? Probably attack the pawn that cannot be defended. Probably castle. No, white doesn't do any of that. White just jumps forward with the move d6, which is not a good move, as you can see from the computer, because you're not equipped to attack yet. Black can now quickly create counterplay once he gets rid of your pawn. But instead of getting rid of the pawn, black plays rook f8 right away. And, well, now, you know, there's various dc7s and so on. But what's amazing about this move is that black can actually take. And if you take, then this, which would be very hilarious. So, white castle's long. The attack looks like it's blossoming. And I mean, it looks terrifying to play this position with black, but it's not, because after pawn takes, black can play like bishop e5, for example, and just win the game on the spot. Because the bishop is pinned to the queen. And if you play something like knight 2e2 in this position, you defend yourself, but I mean, I'm just up a piece. Like, at the end of the day, you gave me a full knight, so if you don't beat me, then it's over. Knight e5 is what's played in the game. Bishop to b5 check, and black blocks. And white plays queen e3, and black just takes the pawn. And the attack is completely extinguished. White now no longer has much going on at all. But the game is absolute chaos. Both sides have used nearly half their time already getting to this position, and now everything goes crazy. Knight to e4 attacks the pawn on d6. Very logical move. Black has a couple of options here. Option number one, run the king here, which you should have done a million years ago, so that when this comes in, king to g8, the king is safe. Option number two, sacrifice the rook for the bishop. This one's a little bit more sophisticated, and just hope that you don't get mated somehow. This one's probably pretty outlandish. Instead of that, we have the move d5, and now white is winning. White is winning because that completely destabilizes the knight, which already has no stability. Knight to f6 check, pawn takes, like this, queen takes, and that's simply bishop takes knight. Just queen takes knight, bishop takes knight, white is now winning. Bishop takes, white's attack breaks through, but white is taking a little bit too much time, but the position is now +5. It is over. Why is it over? It's over because you are up a lot of development more than anything else here on black. And see, they're already calling the cops outside. I'm sure you guys can see that. Now, white should be going here, here, etc. You should not trade the queens. Trading the queens would be a very bad decision with white because you need the queen to attack. So, white doesn't like any of these moves and plays the move queen h6, which is a very big mistake. Queen h6 is a very big mistake because black has the move queen c5 check, winning the bishop. Now, the computer here thinks that even better is bishop to f5, but the computer is a scumbag. You're not going to seriously tell me that the move... Why does the clock reset every time I make a hypothetical move? It's ridiculous. Bishop f5 is a better move because you threaten this, mate, and this is still an option. But as far as I'm concerned, this is a far more human move. And king b1, and now, you know, queen b5 is possible. Instead of queen b5, black plays bishop f5 check now, and white brings the bishop back to d3. Okay. So, black best move now. There's a bishop hanging in the center of the board. So let's just get instant replay. Queen h6. Both bishops hang. Check. Right, both bishops hang. This bishop comes back, which unpins the knight. So now that bishop is hanging too. Now you ask me what's the easiest thing to do here. I go check, knight e5. That's what I do. I take this. This is defended. But we have knight takes e5 right away. Rook e1. We kind of have a similar situation. And the move here to play with black is not the move that's played in this game at all. It now goes from -2 to +1. It's quite hard to find this move. The best move here for black is the move rook to f2. Okay, rook f2 gives up the knight with a check. You walk your king out, and your king is actually safe because that's covered. This is mate in a couple moves. I mean, we're really gonna do this. We're really gonna say that that was findable. I think d4 is okay. And now white has to play queen g7, attacking the knight and attacking the pawn. Cannot take because of the pin. But white takes the pawn with check, which apparently is another bad move. It's check. Now black has to run the king. Instead of that, black blocks with the rook. Just in general, good rule of thumb is if you are going to be checked, don't defend in a way where you're going to pin yourself, okay? Pinning yourself is not recommended. You pin yourself, now you're going to struggle to move. The best move here for white is to play rook to f3, utilizing the pin and taking on f7 next. Instead of that, white goes here. So white was +5, now white is only +1. Both sides about 90 seconds on the clock. King goes out to d7. The knight is lost. All right, now we have a rook endgame. No move in this rook endgame was good. Not a single move. Rook f1 check. King runs out. Rook f2. Do not give checks in endgames just to give checks. Please, don't do it. Because when you give these checks, all right, you just help the opponent run the king. King b3. King d6 is played, attacking the rook. We have rook to e4. And now black has a couple of options here, like getting the second rook involved, like running the king somewhere to safety. Instead of that, black plays rook f5. Now we have check, king c6, rook d6. You have an option. Do you go forward or backwards? King goes forward. White plays rook d7. And black plays rook b8. Defending the pawn on b7 with 39 seconds versus white's 103. We have king to a4. Why? Where is the king going? What? Gotta bring the rook over, push the pawn. But see, 2100 level chess, the bad moves that they make are still like tolerable moves. It's just the fact that Stockfish is out here sitting there watching their game like, what are you doing? Oh my God. King a4 played. b5. Self-mating. Self-mating after king a5, and this king is stuck. You are now threatening rook c7, rook c3, and various b4s as well. b4, that's mate on d4. b4, that's mate on d6. The game is over. But instead of that, white plays the move king back to b3. White spent 1 second on this move and played king to b3. Now black plays rook to f4, and essentially the rest of the game is a mad dash to beat each other on time, both sides missing a lot of chances, scrambling all the way to the conclusion, and the game ending with a loss on time. Which, you know, compared to some of our other Lose at Chess episodes, is a little bit anticlimactic. You go, oh, I wanted one of them to hang mate. Yet they're not going to do that, all right? They're not as bad as you. But I kind of feel bad because the game review of this game is like tremendously catastrophic. Look at this. These guys are rated 2100. Look at that graph. Combined. Not combined, but the average of their accuracies was in the 50s. Look how many bad moves they played. 24 bad moves for white. Is that 24? That's 11 plus 11. That's 22, 25. I can't add. Black, 17, 20, 21. It's like, there's so many bad moves. No brilliancies. They played 4 great moves in a game where both sides made 49 moves. 4 great moves. Folks, it never gets any better. Usually our How to Lose at Chess playlist is like 700s, 400s, 200s. These dudes are 2100. And even they struggle. Now, they struggle at a different level. Their games still kind of make sense. Your games look like, you know, diarrhea. But it's okay. Chess is a wild, wild endeavor. You can get to 2100 and still play a game where you made like 5 good moves. It's shocking. Completely shocking. But I want to commend Drifty for sending in the game because it really just never gets any better, does it? It never gets any better. I should include one of my own games in this series. Maybe I'll do that next time. Get out of here.